Welcome to the Whitespring Bunker. These halls were built to safeguard some of the most prestigious members of the United States government. Now we are all that remains, though we are always looking for men and women capable of helping us restore what has been lost. In return, we offer this, our refuge from the world above. Please, take your time and look around. We've made great efforts to restore this place to its former glory. Welcome, member, to our little enclave.
A new enclave is rising in Appalachia, but it's the holidays. Colonel Valeria is throwing a party in the bunker. Assaultrons are trimming trees with care, there's a Protectron chorus singing carols in the commissary, and SantaTron will be filling members with Christmas cheer. Join our little enclave for a holiday celebration at the Whitespring, as our characters find a bit of that old Christmas spirit and learn the importance of friendship and family after the apocalypse. Take a seat by the fire, grab a Blackwater Brew and some Cranberry Cobbler, and enjoy Roses and Clover, an Enclave Christmas Story. Christmas Eve, the Whitespring, 2102. Above the Whitespring bunker, a light snow was falling, covering the still manicured grounds of the resort with a fine white powder. The robots went on their merry way, clearing off the roads and the sidewalks, just as they'd done for more than 3 decades. The night was eerily silent, outside of the swish of broom attachments and the hiss of the stabilizer jets. Below the bunker had been empty for years. Christmas and the other holidays had been marked by the passage of time and entries in Modus's database. But this year, the halls of the Whitespring bunker were suddenly alive with the sounds and the smells of the holiday. With the arrival of the former Vault 76 residents, and now as Lieutenant Colonel Valeria had assumed command of the new enclave, holidays were suddenly relevant again. Assaultrons walked the halls, wreathed in garlands, and wishing members a happy holiday, while Protectrons strung lights and trimmed trees in the operations center. Even Modus had bowed to the demands of the holidays and fashioned himself a digital Santa cap on his monitor display. For the growing enclave, tonight was a celebration of not only the holiday, but of rebirth and life itself. The production room floor was now the scene of a raucous party, with members partaking of mulled wine, old possum, and Blackwater brews, and various cranberry concoctions and confections prepared by the bunker commissary Protectrons. Modus had commandeered an old SantaTron from the Whitespring Resort storage facility, and the bearded bot was making its rounds asking each and every member what they wanted for Christmas. In a way, it was eerily reminiscent of their days in Vault 76. They were all former residents who found their way here to the bunker, and that bond was on display as members danced and celebrated the night away. All the members, with one exception. Lieutenant Colonel Valeria stood in the corner of the room in her dress uniform, sipping an old possum and watching the festivities. In a way, she was pleased to see this new enclave come together, but she also felt incredibly alone. Since her promotion, she'd worked day and night to earn the respect of her fellow members, but she rarely got to socialize with any of them. And for those who were reluctant or outright rejected her authority, well, they had either been convinced or, barring that, some alone time with Major Lilith had eliminated any resistance or reluctance to the Colonel's authority. This party was Valeria's way of turning the page, but she found it hard to enjoy. She'd lost her parents soon after leaving Vault 76, and while the Enclave was now her life, there was still something missing. From the far side of the production floor, Valeria could hear the sound of caroling. A chorus of Protectrons were now singing Jingle Bells, much to the amusement of the crowd. The SantaTron had taken a seat by the large Christmas tree, and members had formed a line to get their pictures taken and let the bot know what they wanted for the holiday. Another group, led by Sergeant Stein, was off in a corner smoking cigars pilfered from the presidential cottage topside. As much as Valeria couldn't stand the smell, the sergeant had earned the privilege after taking down a scorch piece just south of the resort. Looking over, she could tell that Stein was retelling the story between puffs, blowing smoke rings to better illustrate the epic tale. Valeria took another sip of beer and nodded as one of the newly minted captains walked by, whistling a holiday tune and holding a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a large present in the other. He was quickly mobbed by his team, Iota, she believed, with a chorus of, "For he's a jolly good fellow." As the party swirled around her, Valeria thought back to her time with her parents. Faustina family holidays were low-key affairs, but the 3 of them were always together. They'd exchanged small gifts, and she'd sit at her parents' feet listening to them talk about their pre-vault exploits. When she got older and her training intensified, they'd spend their time in the vault gym instead, while the other families celebrated in the atrium or in their quarters. One holiday in particular stuck in her mind. She'd been sparring with her mother for over a year. The first few months, she'd spend days in the infirmary after many of their matches. Her mother was unforgiving, and as a former hand-to-hand combat trainer, she was also a formidable opponent. She demanded perfection and made Valeria pay for every mistake or oversight in her form. But after each loss, each beating, it was her mother who was there when she woke up, helping her, explaining what she did wrong and what to do better next time. And that's how it was, until that day before Christmas. She'd step into the ring with her mother, still sporting the bruises from their last match. Valeria had walked through every single fight in her mind and finally found what she thought was a weakness she could exploit. When her mother waved her forward, Valeria feigned hesitation. She dodged the first punch, then the second. Her mother advanced and tried to get a grip on her, but she slithered away and circled just out of reach. It didn't take long before her mother decided to go all out, which is exactly what Valeria had been waiting for. The fight ended in less than 10 seconds. Valeria caught her mother mid-pivot with a combination which broke 3 ribs, an arm, and left her mother unconscious on the mat. The next few hours were a blur, but she stayed by her mother's side the entire time. She must have fallen asleep next to her that night, because when she woke up in the morning, her mother was finally awake and looking at her with a gleam in her eye. Valeria was brought back to reality when Lieutenant Morrison skipped by with a lampshade on his head, being chased by Private Jessica. She finally caught him over by the power armor frames, where she pulled off the shade and gave him one hell of a kiss. The room erupted in cheers, and with more toast and more food, including an extra helping of cranberry pie, brought out by the Protectrons. Sitting next to Valeria on the floor was a very large box wrapped in red and white paper with a blue bow. It was her present to Lilith. After everything she'd done, Valeria wanted to do something special for her only friend. It had taken some doing, and she'd gotten very lucky, but Lilith was nowhere to be found. There was more singing, both from the members and the Bach chorus, though after a few drinks, Valeria didn't think anyone could tell which was worse, or better for that matter. She forced a smile as members wished her a Merry Christmas as the party slowly wound down close to midnight, and the rest of the members went back to their duty stations or to their rooms. She found herself alone as even the bots had left for their charging stations. The speakers were still playing Christmas music, having switched over to Silent Night. Valeria finished her last old possum and put the empty bottle on the table next to her.
Merry Christmas to me.
Did I miss the party?
Came a voice from the other side of the room. Valeria looked up and saw Lilith standing in the doorway, wearing a silly little Santa hat and a red coat.
Just where the hell have you been?
Sorry, Val, but I had to go looking for something.
Lilith walked across the floor to her friend with one hand behind her back.
It is Christmas and all, and I never got a chance to say thank you.
Lilith stopped in front of Valeria and showed her what she had been hiding. It was a small present, wrapped in an old copy of the Charleston Herald. She handed it to Valeria, who carefully unwrapped it. It was a holotape.
What's this?
You should watch it.
Valeria walked over to the corner terminal and inserted the holotape. The screen blinked to life and she found herself transported back to the Vault 76 infirmary. It was the security feed from her mother's room, and there she was, a younger Valeria, napping next to her mother's bed. She watched as her mother slowly woke up, her face swollen with 2 black eyes and her arm in a sling. She saw her look over and see her daughter sleeping next to her. Despite her injuries, Valeria watched her smile and reach over and put her hand on her head.
No, Val. I've been waiting for this since you were born. I'm so proud of you. I love you. Merry Christmas.
She watched her mother cry softly and stroke her hair until she finally awoke and her memories merged with what she had just witnessed. A single tear ran down her cheek. She wiped it away and turned to Lilith.
I don't know what to say. Thank you. How did you...
I figured Modus might have some old Vault 76 recordings. Took a while. Oh, God. Most of that stuff? So boring.
Valeria took her friend in a bear hug before wiping her eyes again and grabbing the big box off the floor next to her.
Lil, I got you something too.
She handed the box to Lilith, who started ripping the paper off and opened it. She looked at the contents and then back up to Valeria with a puzzled look on her face.
It was your mother's armor. I had Modus do a search of his inventory and discovered she'd been assigned here before the war.
And it was Lilith's turn to take her friend in a bear hug of her own, lifting her right up off the floor.
Wow! I mean, thank you, Val.
You're welcome, but please don't crush me.
Merry Christmas, Val. You're my friend. Now we're family. How about sisters?
They laughed and sat down in front of the Christmas tree, illuminated by the blinking lights and with the sounds of the holidays around them. They ate and drank the rest of the night away before welcoming Christmas with a final toast as family. God bless America, God bless the Enclave, and happy holidays to all.
Members, we look forward to your next visit to our Little Enclave.